devoted, and always striving to make the woman he loved happy. But over time, he realized he was losing his sense of self. He drifted away from his friends and family, sacrificed his happiness, and tried to mold himself into someone he wasn't just to please her. The result? Not only did the relationship fail to improve, but it also became heavy and toxic. Where did Alex go wrong? What mistakes did he make that so many men, perhaps even you, might find familiar? Alex's story is exactly why we're here today. We're going to explore 9 things you should never do in a relationship with women. These principles, rooted in Stoic philosophy, will not only help you better understand yourself, but also empower you to create a genuinely healthy and fulfilling relationship. Have you ever felt like you were giving too much in a relationship and receiving too little in return? Or maybe you found yourself feeling lost, unsure of how to maintain balance in love. These are universal struggles. The good news is you don't have to face them blindly. Stoicism reminds us that everything can be improved if we learn to practice self-control, identify the root of the problem, and focus on what we can control. These are not mere abstract ideas. They are practical, actionable principles that have stood the test of time. Before we dive into the main content, let's pause for a moment of reflection. What is one mistake you've made in a relationship that you regret the most? Don't hesitate to share your story in the comments below. Your experience might help someone else who's struggling find the right path. Also, make sure to stick around until the end of this video, because I promise you'll discover at least 1 or 2 valuable lessons that could transform how you approach and nurture relationships. In the upcoming segment, we'll uncover 9 things you should never do in a relationship with women. Each principle is grounded in Stoic philosophy and comes with practical advice you can apply in your daily life. These lessons aren't just about relationships, they're about mastering yourself. You'll learn why changing yourself to please others is a recipe for failure, or why being overly fixated on someone can rob you of personal growth opportunities. If you're ready to take action to improve your relationship and yourself, then this next part is for you. Let's embark on this journey together. Let's start with the first lesson. Don't change yourself to fit someone else. The question is, how can you maintain your sense of identity while building a harmonious relationship? Let's find out. So number 1, don't change yourself to fit someone else. Be the shining star, not the blending chameleon. In life and relationships, staying true to yourself is the cornerstone of genuine happiness and self-respect. Adapting to someone else's expectations might seem like the path to harmony, but it often leads to losing your unique identity, a loss that no relationship can compensate for. When you change yourself to please someone else, you start eroding your authentic self bit by bit. Imagine your personality as a beautiful mosaic, each piece representing your values, interests, and passions. Now, picture removing those pieces to match someone else's design. What's left is not only incomplete, but also unrecognizable. Here are some specific consequences: a feeling of emptiness. By prioritizing someone else's approval, you suppress your own needs and desires. This leaves you feeling hollow and disconnected from your true self. Erosion of self-confidence. Each compromise chips away at your self-esteem. You begin to question your worth, thinking that who you are isn't good enough. Resentment and frustration. Over time, you may start resenting the other person for the sacrifices you've made, even though they may not have asked you to change. Relationship imbalance. A relationship built on conformity lacks authenticity. When you're not genuine, it's impossible to foster a deep, meaningful connection. Stoic philosophy on staying true to yourself. The ancient Stoics championed self-awareness and integrity as the pillars of a fulfilling life. They believed that staying true to your nature was essential for both inner peace and personal growth. Let's explore some key lessons from Stoic philosophy that can guide us in this context. Know yourself. Epictetus's call for self-awareness. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, emphasized the importance of self-knowledge. He said, "First, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This means understanding who you are at your core, your values, principles, and passions before making choices in life or relationships. When you abandon this self-awareness to conform to someone else, you're essentially betraying your nature. Practical application. Take time for introspection. Write down your non-negotiables, the values and traits that define you. Before making a change in your life or behavior, ask, am I doing this because it aligns with my values, or am I doing it to gain approval? Authenticity, over approval. Marcus Aurelius wisdom. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, never esteem anything as of advantage to you that will make you break your word or lose your self-respect. This teaches us that no relationship is worth sacrificing your authenticity. Seeking approval at the cost of self-respect leads to internal conflict and emotional turmoil. Marcus believed that true contentment comes from living in alignment with your principles, not bending them to fit someone else's mold. Practical application. Set boundaries in your relationships. Respect yourself enough to say no to things that go against your nature. Communicate your needs and values clearly. A healthy relationship thrives on mutual respect, not unilateral compromise. Focus on what you can control. The Stoic approach to external validation. One of the core tenets of Stoicism is to focus on what is within your control and let go of what isn't. As Epictetus said, it is not what happens to you but how you react to it that matters. The opinions and expectations of others are beyond your control. If you constantly change yourself to fit their preferences, you're surrendering your inner peace to forces you can't influence. Practical application. Shift your focus inward. Instead of worrying about how others perceive you, ask yourself, am I proud of who I am? Practice letting go of external validation. It's liberating to realize that your worth doesn't depend on others' opinions. Be the shining star. Seneca's view on individuality. Seneca often wrote about the power of individuality and standing out. He believed that blending in, for the sake of acceptance, diminishes your potential. He wrote, "Why follow the herd? All the greatest minds have stood alone." When you embrace your unique qualities, you not only honor yourself, but also enrich your relationships. True connections are built on authenticity, not on pretense. Celebrate your individuality. Reflect on what makes you unique and lean into it, instead of hiding it. Surround yourself with people who value you for who you are, not who they want you to be. Reflection. Through journaling. Each evening, write down situations where you felt pressured to conform. Ask yourself, why did I feel the need to change? Was the compromise worth it? How can I better stand up for my values in the future? The circle of control. Technique. Draw a circle and write inside it the things you can control, your actions, thoughts, and reactions. Outside the circle, list the things you can't control. Others' opinions, external expectations. This visual reminder will help you refocus on your authenticity. Gratitude for self. Each day, acknowledge one trait or value that you love about yourself. Gratitude isn't just for external things, it's for the person you are as well. Changing yourself to fit someone else's expectations might seem like a shortcut to happiness, but it's a road to self-betrayal. Remember, you are the protagonist of your life, not a supporting character in someone else's story. Living authentically is not only the foundation of personal happiness, but also the key to building relationships rooted in mutual respect and understanding. As the Stoics remind us, true fulfillment comes from aligning your actions with your values. So, shine brightly, unapologetically, as the star you were always meant to be. In the next section, we'll dive into the second lesson. Don't become obsessed with one person. What does it mean to maintain balance in relationships without losing yourself? Stay tuned. Number 2, don't become obsessed with one person. Losing yourself in obsession over another person can leave you untethered and disconnected from your own goals and values. Stoic philosophy teaches us to maintain balance, focus on our internal stability, and avoid anchoring our entire sense of worth in another person. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, nowhere can a man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. By prioritizing your personal growth and inner peace, you can avoid the pitfalls of obsession and create healthier, more fulfilling relationships. The consequences of obsession. Neglecting your own dreams. Obsession redirects your energy toward another person, leaving little room for your passions and personal goals. Like a satellite stuck in orbit, you revolve around their world, forgetting to nurture your own. Imbalance in the relationship. When one person becomes the sole focus, the relationship loses its equilibrium. This creates pressure on both sides and can lead to feelings of resentment or dependence. Erosion of self-worth. Relying on someone else to validate your existence makes you vulnerable. Their absence or disinterest can shatter your confidence and leave you questioning your value. Emotional exhaustion. Constantly worrying about pleasing someone or securing their attention drains you emotionally, leaving little capacity for self-reflection or meaningful growth. Maintain inner balance. Marcus Aurelius on self-reliance. Marcus Aurelius emphasized the importance of finding peace within yourself rather than seeking it from external sources. He said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This principle teaches us to anchor our sense of happiness and stability in our own minds, not in the actions or presence of another person. True contentment comes from self-reliance. Practical application. Daily reflection. Spend a few minutes each day reflecting on your goals, values, and achievements. Reaffirm that your worth is independent of others' opinions or actions. Personal rituals. Cultivate hobbies or routines that nourish your individuality, such as journaling, exercising, or pursuing creative interests. Embrace detachment. Epictetus's perspective on love. Epictetus advised us to love others with an understanding of their impermanence. He said, "Do not seek to have events happen as you want them to, but instead want them to happen as they do happen, and your life will go well." In relationships, this means embracing detachment, not emotional coldness, but the wisdom to love without clinging. Detachment allows you to cherish someone without losing yourself. Practical application. Focus on gratitude. Appreciate the time and experiences you share with someone, but avoid basing your entire happiness on them. Set boundaries. Respect their individuality and your own by maintaining healthy personal space in the relationship. Find fulfillment in personal growth. Seneca's guidance on purpose. Seneca believed that a life focused on personal growth and purpose was the antidote to obsession. He said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." When you pour all your energy into another person, you squander opportunities for self-improvement. By redirecting that energy toward your goals, you not only grow as an individual, but also become a better partner. Practical application. Set personal goals. Write down short and long-term goals that excite you. Allocate time each week to work on these goals. Celebrate independence. Acknowledge and celebrate your progress in areas unrelated to your relationship. A stoic exercise to cultivate inner stability, the view from above. Meditation. Imagine viewing your life from a higher perspective, like a bird looking down on a landscape. From this vantage point, see how your life intertwines with others but remains a unique path. Reflect on the vastness of your existence beyond any one relationship. Write a letter to your future self. In this letter, describe the person you want to be 5 years from now. Focus on qualities, achievements, and personal growth, not on external relationships. Keep this letter as a reminder of your long-term vision. Practice the pause and pivot technique. When you notice yourself becoming overly focused on someone else, pause and pivot your thoughts towards something constructive, like a personal project or hobby. Consider a young artist named Daniel. Daniel was deeply in love and devoted all his time to his partner, neglecting his passion for painting. Over time, his relationship became strained as his partner felt the pressure of being his only source of happiness. One day, Daniel rediscovered his love for art and began painting again. This shift allowed him to find fulfillment within himself, and his relationship flourished as a result. Daniel's story reminds us that balance and personal growth are not only essential for ourselves, but also for the health of our relationships. Obsession may feel like devotion, but it's a subtle thief of your individuality and emotional health. By anchoring your happiness in yourself and maintaining a balanced perspective, you can build relationships that are both enriching and harmonious. The Stoics teach us that love should not imprison us, but set us free. True connection is built on mutual respect and independence, not on dependence or fixation. In the next section, we'll explore another crucial lesson. Don't sacrifice your mental health or happiness. How can you protect your inner peace while nurturing a relationship? Number 3. Don't sacrifice your mental health or happiness. Your mental health and happiness are not bargaining chips to be exchanged for the fleeting approval of someone else. Stoicism teaches us that protecting your inner peace is vital for maintaining strength, clarity, and resilience in relationships. By prioritizing your well-being, you can contribute to healthier, more balanced connections. As Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. The consequences of neglecting your mental health, emotional burnout. Continuously putting someone else's needs above your own leads to exhaustion, leaving you unable to give your best to the relationship or to yourself. Loss of inner peace. When you neglect your own well-being, your mind becomes a battleground of stress and negativity, making it harder to approach challenges with clarity. Erosion of self-respect. By consistently prioritizing someone else's happiness over your own, you subconsciously signal to yourself that your needs are less important, undermining your self-esteem. Toxic dependency. A relationship built on one-sided sacrifices becomes imbalanced, fostering resentment and dependency instead of mutual respect and support. Stoic lessons on prioritizing your well-being. Your mind is your fortress. Marcus Aurelius on guarding inner peace. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that our mind is our ultimate sanctuary. He said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This means that no one should have the power to disrupt your inner peace unless you allow it. Your happiness begins with the thoughts you nurture and the boundaries you establish. Practical application. Set emotional boundaries. Clearly define what behaviors you will and will not tolerate in a relationship. Communicate these boundaries respectfully. Practice mindfulness. Dedicate time each day to mindfulness practices like meditation, journaling, or deep breathing to maintain your mental clarity. You can't pour from an empty cup. Seneca, on self-care. Seneca understood that self-care is not selfish, it's essential. He wrote, "A man who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary." This emphasizes the importance of taking care of yourself before problems escalate. Ignoring your mental health creates unnecessary suffering, both for you and those around you. Practical application. Schedule me time. Regularly set aside time for activities that rejuvenate you, whether it's reading, exercising, or simply resting. Learn to say no. Refuse commitments or requests that compromise your mental well-being, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. Align with your values. Epictetus on true happiness. Epictetus taught that happiness comes from living in harmony with your values. He said, "Happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one principle. Some things are within our control, and some things are not." This wisdom urges us to focus on what we can control, our thoughts, actions, and choices, instead of trying to please others at the cost of our integrity. Practical application. Clarify your priorities. Identify your core values and ensure your actions align with them. This alignment strengthens your sense of purpose. Track your emotional energy. Keep a journal to note activities and interactions that boost or drain your mental energy. Adjust accordingly. A Stoic exercise to protect your mental health. Daily affirmations of resilience. Each morning, remind yourself, "My peace is mine to protect. My happiness is not dependent on others, but on the thoughts I cultivate." The Stoic pause technique. When faced with a stressful situation in your relationship, pause and ask, "Is this within my control? How can I respond in a way that aligns with my values?" Gratitude practice for yourself. At the end of each day, write down 3 things you did to prioritize your well-being. This reinforces the habit of self-care. Emma, a young professional, was in a relationship where she constantly prioritized her partner's happiness over her own. She stayed late at his events, skipped her hobbies, and ignored her own needs. Over time, she felt drained and unhappy. One day, she came across Marcus Aurelius's teachings and decided to reclaim her inner peace. Emma began setting boundaries, carving out time for self-care, and communicating her needs. Surprisingly, this not only improved her mental health, but also strengthened her relationship, as her partner began respecting her more. Emma's story reminds us that protecting our mental health is not a selfish act. It's a cornerstone of healthy, lasting relationships. Sacrificing your mental health for the sake of others is like giving away your only flashlight in the dark. Without it, you stumble, unsure of your direction. Stoicism teaches us that true happiness and strength come from within, and protecting your well-being is not only your right, but your responsibility. As you nurture your inner peace, you'll find yourself better equipped to handle challenges and create a relationship built on mutual respect and understanding. Next, we'll dive into the fourth lesson. Don't alienate your friends and family. How can you maintain a support system while balancing your relationship? So number 4, don't alienate your friends and family. Your friends and family are the foundation of your support system, a vital source of strength, wisdom, and stability. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of relationships, not just with your partner, but with the broader circle of people who have been there for you through life's challenges. Neglecting these relationships in favor of focusing solely on one person can lead to isolation, weakened bonds, and a loss of identity. As Plato wisely stated, people are like dirt. They can either nourish you and help you grow as a person, or they can stunt your growth and make you wilt and die. The consequences of alienating your support system: loss of emotional stability. Friends and family provide emotional grounding. Cutting yourself off from them makes you more vulnerable to stress and uncertainty in your romantic relationship. Imbalanced relationship pressure. Without other sources of connection, your partner becomes your sole focus, which can strain the relationship and create unrealistic expectations. Missed perspectives and guidance. Friends and family often offer valuable insights and advice. Alienating them deprives you of diverse perspectives that could help you navigate challenges. Weakened bonds. Over time, neglecting these relationships makes it harder to reconnect, leading to a sense of regret and loneliness. The value of community. Marcus Aurelius on relationships. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the interconnectedness of people. He wrote, "We are made for cooperation, like feet, like hands, like eyelids, like the rows of the upper and lower teeth." This reminds us that humans thrive in communities, not in isolation. Your relationship with your partner should not come at the expense of the other vital connections in your life. Practical application. Schedule time for loved ones. Set regular days to spend with friends and family, even if it's just a phone call or a casual meetup. Integrate relationships. Where possible, involve your partner in your social circles and family events to create harmony and inclusivity. The role of reciprocity. Seneca on balanced relationships. Seneca believed that strong relationships are built on mutual support and reciprocity. He wrote, "A gift consists not in what is done or given, but in the intention of the giver." By nurturing your friendships and familial bonds, you create a network of support that enriches both your life and theirs. Practical application. Show appreciation. Regularly express gratitude to friends and family for their role in your life. A heartfelt "thank you" or a small act of kindness goes a long way. Be present. When spending time with loved ones, give them your full attention. Avoid distractions and truly engage with their stories and experiences. Avoid isolation. Epictetus on shared wisdom. Epictetus reminded us of the value of learning from others. It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. When you isolate yourself from friends and family, you lose opportunities to learn from their experiences and insights. Maintaining these connections keeps you grounded and open to growth. Practical application. Ask for advice. Don't hesitate to seek the counsel of trusted friends or family members when facing challenges. Their perspectives can illuminate solutions you might not see. Balance priorities. Ensure your time is divided fairly between your partner and the people who have always supported you. A Stoic exercise to strengthen bonds with loved ones. The gratitude. Reflection. Each evening, think of one friend or family member and reflect on how they've positively impacted your life. Consider sending them a quick message of appreciation. The friendship inventory. Make a list of your close friends and family members. Note how often you've connected with each of them recently. If someone's name stands out as someone you've neglected, plan to reach out and reconnect. Family-focused moments. Dedicate at least one day a month to spend quality time with family members, whether it's a shared meal, a walk, or just catching up on life. Take Sarah's example. She was deeply in love and spent almost all her time with her partner, gradually pulling away from her friends and family. Over time, her partner became her only emotional outlet. When the relationship hit a rough patch, Sarah realized how isolated she had become. Inspired by the teachings of Stoicism, Sarah began reconnecting with her loved ones. She scheduled weekly dinners with her parents, joined a hiking group with her best friend, and even started calling her siblings regularly. Not only did this renew her sense of belonging, but it also brought balance back into her relationship. Sarah's story teaches us that a strong support system is essential for both personal growth and relational harmony. Friends and family are like the roots of a tree. They anchor you, provide stability, and nourish your growth. Stoicism reminds us that while romantic relationships are important, they should never overshadow the other meaningful connections in our lives. By maintaining balance and nurturing your support system, you enrich not only your own life, but also the lives of those who care about you. In the next section, we'll dive into the fifth lesson. Don't waste your time. How can Stoic principles help you make the most of your time and avoid distractions in relationships? Number 5. Don't waste your time. Time is your most precious and non-renewable resource. Wasting it, whether through unnecessary drama, unproductive habits, or relationships that don't align with your values, is like throwing away gold. Stoicism teaches us to treat time with reverence, ensuring that every moment is used purposefully and meaningfully. As Seneca wisely observed, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. The consequences of wasting time in relationships. Missed opportunities for growth. Spending time on relationships or activities that don't serve your growth keeps you from pursuing your goals and passions. Emotional exhaustion. Engaging in endless arguments or trying to maintain a one-sided relationship drains your emotional energy, leaving you fatigued and unfulfilled. Loss of clarity. When you invest your time unwisely, you lose focus on what truly matters, leading to confusion about your priorities. Regret. Time wasted can never be reclaimed. Looking back on years spent in an unfulfilling situation can leave you with deep regret. Live each day with intention. Marcus Aurelius on time's value. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the fleeting nature of life. He wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This powerful reminder encourages us to treat each day as a gift. In relationships, this means choosing actions and conversations that add value, instead of engaging in activities or dynamics that drain us. Practical application. Ask yourself daily, if today were my last day, would I spend it this way? Eliminate toxic dynamics. If a relationship consistently feels unproductive or draining, it may be time to reassess its place in your life. The importance of prioritization. Seneca on time management. Seneca believed that wasting time was the greatest tragedy. He wrote, "People are frugal in guarding their personal property, but as soon as it comes to squandering time, they are most wasteful of the one thing in which it is right to be stingy." In relationships, this means prioritizing activities and interactions that align with your values and long-term goals, rather than indulging in fleeting distractions. Practical application. Audit your time. Keep a log of how you spend your time each week. Identify areas where you can cut back on unproductive habits. Focus on meaningful conversations. Instead of small talk or conflict, prioritize discussions that build understanding and deepen connections. Let go of what you can't control. Epictetus on wise use of energy. Epictetus emphasized focusing only on what you can control. He said, "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens." In relationships, this means letting go of efforts to change or control others and instead channeling your time and energy into your own growth and happiness. Practical application. Set boundaries. Protect your time by setting clear limits on what you're willing to tolerate in a relationship. Focus on actions, not reactions. Invest your energy in actions that align with your goals rather than reacting to others' behavior. The time inventory. Exercise. At the end of each day, list how you spent your time. Reflect on these questions. What moments added value to my life or relationships? What moments felt like a waste of time? Use this insight to plan more purposefully moving forward. The rule of 5. Each week, list the top 5 things you want to achieve in your personal or relational life. Dedicate focused time to these priorities and say no to distractions that don't align. Memento mori. Reminder. Place a visual reminder, like a clock or a written note, somewhere you'll see it daily, with the words, "Time is finite." Let it inspire you to spend your moments wisely. Consider John, a software developer, who was in a relationship where most of his time was spent resolving petty arguments and navigating his partner's constant demands. His career and personal goals began to suffer as he found himself drained and distracted. One day, he stumbled upon Seneca's teachings and realized the value of his time. John started setting boundaries, communicating openly about what he could and couldn't invest his time in, and made a conscious effort to refocus on his passions. Although his relationship eventually ended, John reclaimed his time and found fulfillment in pursuing his goals. He later met someone who valued his priorities and respected his boundaries. John's story reminds us that valuing our time not only enriches our lives, but also opens the door to healthier, more fulfilling relationships. Stoicism teaches us that time, once wasted, cannot be reclaimed. In relationships, spending time wisely means focusing on what truly matters: shared growth, mutual respect, and meaningful connections. By valuing your time and refusing to squander it on unproductive habits or toxic dynamics, you'll cultivate relationships that enrich your life instead of draining it. In the next section, we'll explore the 6th lesson. Don't reveal too much about your past. How can you strike the right balance between openness and privacy in a relationship? Stay tuned. Number 6. Don't reveal too much about your past. Your past is your story, but it doesn't define who you are in the present. While honesty is important in any relationship, oversharing the most intimate or painful details of your past can leave you vulnerable to judgment, misunderstanding, or even exploitation. Stoic philosophy reminds us to protect our inner world and to be discerning about what we share with others. As Seneca advised, do not expose yourself needlessly to danger. For those who will care for you are few, while those who would harm you are many. The consequences of oversharing. Loss of privacy. Once shared, personal information can't be taken back. Oversharing can leave you feeling exposed or regretful, especially if the relationship becomes strained. Potential misuse. Vulnerabilities from your past may be misunderstood or, in some cases, used against you during conflicts. Unnecessary weight on the relationship. Sharing too much too soon can overwhelm the other person, creating a sense of emotional imbalance or obligation. Reopening. Old wounds. Revisiting unresolved pain from your past can hinder your ability to focus on the present and move forward. The art of discernment. Marcus Aurelius on choosing what to share. Marcus Aurelius emphasized the value of self-control and discernment. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This wisdom reminds us that while we cannot control others' reactions to our stories, we can control what we choose to share. Not everything needs to be disclosed, especially if it doesn't serve the growth or trust in the relationship. Practical application. Ask yourself before sharing, does sharing this strengthen trust or unnecessarily burden the relationship? Start small. Build trust gradually by sharing less sensitive information before discussing deeper aspects of your past. Value your personal boundaries. Epictetus on emotional sovereignty. Epictetus taught that we should guard our emotions and not let others easily influence our inner peace. He said, "No one is free who is not master of himself." By maintaining boundaries around your past, you exercise control over your emotional state and preserve your independence. Practical application. Establish boundaries. Early. Decide in advance which parts of your past you're comfortable sharing and which you'll keep private. Practice polite deflection. If asked about sensitive topics, respond with phrases like, "That's a part of my life I'm still processing," or "I'd prefer to focus on the present." Live in the present. Seneca on moving forward. Seneca emphasized the importance of focusing on the present moment and not dwelling excessively on the past. He wrote, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." This teaches us that while your past shapes you, it doesn't have to dictate your present relationships. Sharing your current values, goals, and growth is often more impactful than reliving past struggles. Practical application. Share growth stories. Frame past challenges as lessons you've learned rather than wounds you still carry. Focus on the future. Highlight your goals and aspirations, giving the relationship a forward-looking perspective. The privacy circle exercise. Draw a circle and divide it into 3 layers. Inner circle, deepest, most sensitive parts of your past. Share only with the most trusted individuals. Middle circle, general experiences that shaped you. Share selectively based on trust. Outer circle, non-sensitive, surface-level details, safe to share with anyone. Use this as a guide to determine how much to share and with whom. Pause and reflect. Before sharing a personal story, take a moment to reflect. Why do I feel the need to share this? Will sharing this contribute to trust or emotional growth? How might the other person perceive this information? Gratitude for growth. Each evening, reflect on a past experience that helped you grow. Write it down, focusing on what you've gained rather than the pain itself. This shifts your mindset from past struggles to present strength. Consider Michael, who started a new relationship and quickly felt the urge to share details about his challenging childhood. He believed that being completely open would strengthen the bond. However, his partner became overwhelmed by the intensity of his stories, leading to misunderstandings and distance. Inspired by Stoicism, Michael began practicing discretion. Instead of diving into every painful memory, he focused on the lessons he'd learned from those experiences. Over time, his relationship deepened naturally, built on trust and mutual understanding rather than emotional overwhelm. Michael's story reminds us that balance is key. Sharing selectively allows a relationship to grow at a healthy pace. Your past is a part of you, but it doesn't have to define you or dominate your relationships. Stoicism teaches us the importance of guarding our inner world, sharing only what strengthens trust and preserves our peace. By focusing on the present and the growth you've achieved, you can foster connections rooted in understanding and mutual respect, free from the unnecessary weight of past struggles. In the next section, we'll explore the 7th lesson: don't agree simply to please. How can you maintain your integrity and avoid the trap of people-pleasing? Stay tuned. Number 7. Don't agree. Simply to please saying yes when you want to say no might seem like the path of least resistance, but it often leads to resentment, dissatisfaction, and a loss of self-respect. Stoicism reminds us that integrity and authenticity are far more valuable than the fleeting approval of others. Marcus Aurelius put it best: "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. When you prioritize your true desires and values over external expectations, you cultivate a life that aligns with your authentic self." The consequences of people-pleasing: erosion of self-worth. Constantly agreeing to please others makes you feel like your own needs and opinions are unimportant, leading to diminished self-respect. Built-up resentment. Over time, suppressing your own desires in favor of others leads to frustration, which can harm both you and your relationships. Inauthentic connections. Agreeing to everything might make you appear agreeable, but it fosters superficial relationships where your true self remains hidden. Emotional exhaustion. Living to meet others' expectations is draining and leaves little energy for your own growth and happiness. Align with your values. Epictetus on true freedom. Epictetus emphasized that true freedom comes from living in harmony with your principles. He said, "Who is free? The one who masters himself." This wisdom reminds us that saying yes to everything can enslave us to others' expectations. True freedom lies in staying true to your values, even if it means occasionally disappointing someone else. Practical application. Define your non-negotiables, identify your core values, and use them as a guide to determine when to say yes or no. Pause before answering. When asked for something, take a moment to reflect on whether it aligns with your values and priorities before responding. The power of no. Seneca, on the importance of boundaries. Seneca believed that boundaries are essential for a balanced and fulfilling life. He wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." By saying yes to everything, you squander your time and energy on things that don't matter. Learning to say no protects your time for what truly matters. Practical application. Practice the positive. No. Decline requests politely but firmly, explaining your reasons if necessary, e.g., "I'd love to help, but I need to focus on my priorities right now." Prioritize your time. Use a calendar or planner to allocate time for your personal goals and let it guide your commitments. Happiness comes from within. Marcus Aurelius on inner stability. Marcus Aurelius taught that happiness is rooted in your thoughts, not others' approval. He wrote, "If you are pained by external things, it is not they that disturb you, but your own judgment of them, and it is in your power to wipe out that judgment now." This teaches us that we don't need external validation to feel good about ourselves. Pleasing others at the cost of your happiness is a false bargain. Practical application. Practice self-affirmation. Remind yourself that your worth is not determined by others' opinions, but by how well you align with your values. Evaluate the outcome. Before agreeing, ask yourself if the decision will bring long-term satisfaction or short-term relief. A Stoic exercise to embrace authenticity, the reflection pause. Technique. Before agreeing to a request, pause and ask yourself, does this align with my values? Am I agreeing out of fear or genuine desire? What will I gain or lose by saying yes? The no practice. Start small by saying no to minor requests that conflict with your priorities. Gradually work up to declining larger commitments that don't align with your goals. Affirmation of self-worth. Each morning, repeat, "I am enough as I am." My worth is not determined by how often I agree, but by how true I am to myself. David was a kind and empathetic person who often found himself saying yes to avoid disappointing others. Whether it was taking on extra work or attending events he wasn't interested in, he constantly prioritized others over himself. Over time, David felt drained and resentful. One day, he came across the writings of Seneca and decided to reclaim his time and energy. He started practicing polite but firm refusals, like saying, "I can't take that on right now, but thank you for asking." To his surprise, most people respected his boundaries, and those who didn't quickly revealed themselves as unworthy of his energy. David's relationships improved, and he finally had the time to focus on his personal goals. David's story reminds us that saying no is not selfish. It's essential for living authentically. Saying yes, simply to please others, may win temporary approval, but it sacrifices your long-term happiness and integrity. Stoicism teaches us that true fulfillment comes from aligning with our values and living authentically. By practicing discernment, setting boundaries, and embracing the power of no, you can build relationships based on mutual respect and understanding rather than fear of disapproval. In the next section, we'll explore the 8th lesson. Don't be controlled by the fear of solitude. How can Stoicism help you embrace independence and overcome the fear of being alone? Number 8. Don't be controlled by the fear of solitude. The fear of being alone often drives people to make poor decisions, from staying in unhealthy relationships to settling for less than they deserve. Stoicism teaches us that solitude is not something to be feared, but embraced as an opportunity for growth, reflection, and self-reliance. As Marcus Aurelius wisely wrote, "Nowhere can a man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." By confronting the fear of solitude, you free yourself to make choices that align with your values and foster a life of independence and purpose. The consequences of being controlled by the fear of solitude. Staying in toxic relationships. Fear of being alone can lead you to tolerate mistreatment or accept relationships that are draining and unfulfilling. Loss of self-worth, dependence on others. For your happiness erodes your confidence and makes you question your own value. Missed opportunities for growth. Constantly seeking external validation leaves little room for self-discovery or pursuing your passions. Emotional instability. Relying on others to fill emotional voids creates a fragile foundation that can collapse if the relationship ends. Stoic lessons on embracing solitude. Find strength within. Marcus Aurelius on inner peace. Marcus Aurelius taught that the ultimate source of stability and happiness lies within ourselves, not in external relationships. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." By cultivating inner peace, you become less dependent on others for emotional support and more capable of facing life's challenges independently. Practical application. Practice solitude. Spend time alone each day, whether it's through meditation, journaling, or walking in nature. Use this time to reconnect with your thoughts and feelings. Create a daily affirmation. Repeat to yourself, "I am complete on my own. My happiness is my responsibility." See solitude as an opportunity. Seneca on independence. Seneca believed that solitude offers a chance for growth and self-discovery. He wrote, "Every man is a reflection of the company he keeps. Therefore, sometimes it is better to be alone." When you fear solitude, you miss the chance to learn about yourself, explore your passions, and develop resilience. Practical application. Pursue hobbies and passions. Use time alone to engage in activities you enjoy or to learn new skills. Reflect on your strengths. Write down achievements and traits that make you proud, reinforcing your self-worth. Build resilience. Epictetus on accepting what you can't control. Epictetus taught that much of life is beyond our control, including relationships. He said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." By accepting the impermanence of relationships and the inevitability of solitude at times, you build emotional resilience and gain the courage to face life independently. Practical application. Shift your perspective. View solitude not as loneliness, but as a period of renewal and self-improvement. Embrace uncertainty. Remind yourself that life is unpredictable, and solitude is a natural and sometimes necessary part of the journey. A Stoic exercise to overcome the fear of solitude. The Solitude Journal. Exercise. Each evening, write about a moment during the day when you felt content alone. Reflect on what made that moment meaningful or peaceful. Gratitude for independence. List 3 things you enjoy about your independence, such as the freedom to make your own choices or the ability to focus on personal goals. Visualize self-reliance. Spend a few minutes imagining yourself thriving independently. Picture the confidence and fulfillment that comes from being self-sufficient. Emily was in a relationship that no longer brought her happiness, but she stayed out of fear of being alone. She worried that without her partner, she'd feel empty and unworthy. One day, Emily came across the teachings of Stoicism and decided to face her fear of solitude. She ended the relationship and started spending time alone, journaling, painting, and hiking. To her surprise, she discovered a newfound sense of freedom and joy. Emily's time alone helped her rediscover her passions and build the confidence to seek healthier connections in the future. Her story shows that solitude isn't a void. It's an opportunity to grow stronger. Their fear of solitude is often rooted in the misconception that being alone means being incomplete. Stoicism teaches us that solitude is a chance to nurture your inner strength, reflect on your values, and pursue the life you want without compromise. By overcoming the fear of being alone, you free yourself to build relationships based on mutual respect, not dependence. You gain the confidence to walk away from situations that don't serve you and the courage to thrive independently. In the next section, we'll explore the 9th and final lesson. Don't let others control your time and energy. How can Stoicism help you protect your resources and set healthy boundaries? Stay tuned. So number 9, don't let others control your time and energy. Main message, your time and energy are finite resources, and once spent, they cannot be regained. Allowing others to dictate how you use these precious assets leads to frustration, burnout, and a sense of being out of control. Stoicism teaches us to guard our time and energy fiercely, dedicating them only to what aligns with our values and priorities. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." By setting boundaries and prioritizing your well-being, you reclaim the power to shape your life according to your goals, not others' demands. The consequences of letting others control your time and energy. Emotional exhaustion, constantly giving in to others' demands, drains your emotional reserves, leaving you depleted and unable to focus on your own needs. Loss of focus. When others dictate your schedule, you lose sight of your own goals and passions, falling into a reactive rather than proactive state. Diminished self-worth. Allowing others to take over your time and energy can make you feel undervalued, as if your needs and priorities don't matter. Resentment and regret. Over time, you may begin to resent those who monopolize your resources and regret not standing up for yourself. Set boundaries. Seneca, on valuing time. Seneca taught that time is our most valuable possession and that we must guard it carefully. He said, "People are frugal in guarding their personal property, but as soon as it comes to squandering time, they are most wasteful of the one thing in which it is right to be stingy." This means being intentional about how you spend your time and having the courage to say no to demands that don't serve your goals. Practical application. Identify energy drainers. Reflect on which people or activities consistently sap your energy without adding value to your life. Reduce your involvement in these areas. Practice saying no, politely but firmly decline requests that conflict with your priorities, e.g., "I can't commit to that right now." Prioritize what matters. Marcus Aurelius on focusing your efforts. Marcus Aurelius emphasized that life's brevity demands focused effort. He wrote, "If you seek tranquility, do less." Or, more accurately, do what's essential, what the logos of a social being requires and in the requisite way. By focusing only on what truly matters, you conserve your energy for meaningful pursuits and relationships. Practical application. Create a priority. List. Each morning, list the top 3 tasks or activities that align with your goals and values. Dedicate the majority of your time and energy to these. Limit distractions. Turn off notifications, set boundaries for social media, and avoid engaging in unnecessary drama. Take responsibility for your life. Epictetus on control. Epictetus taught that control over your time and energy is essential to living a fulfilling life. He said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." By reclaiming your time and energy, you take charge of your life and build a sense of freedom and empowerment. Practical application. Audit your week. Review how you spent your time over the past week. Identify activities that didn't serve your goals and make adjustments for the future. Delegate or eliminate. For tasks that don't require your direct involvement, delegate them or remove them from your schedule altogether. A stoic exercise to guard your time and energy, the energy budget. Exercise. Each morning, imagine your energy as a currency. Allocate it intentionally by deciding how much you'll spend on work, relationships, hobbies, and rest. Avoid overspending by saying no when necessary. The stop and ask. Practice. Before agreeing to a commitment, pause and ask yourself, Does this align with my goals? Will this energize or drain me? Am I doing this out of obligation or genuine desire? Weekly reflection. Set aside time each week to evaluate how you managed your time and energy. Celebrate where you succeeded and plan improvements for the following week. Paul was a talented designer who found himself constantly agreeing to extra work requests from colleagues and friends. While he loved helping others, his own projects and well-being began to suffer. One day, Paul read Seneca's writings and decided to take back control of his time. He started setting firm boundaries, such as only working on projects that aligned with his goals and scheduling time for self-care. Initially, some people were surprised by his newfound assertiveness, but over time, they began to respect his boundaries. Paul felt more energized and fulfilled, and his work quality improved as he focused on what mattered most. Paul's story is a reminder that protecting your time and energy isn't selfish. It's essential for living a purposeful and balanced life. The Stoics understood that life's greatest wealth isn't material, it's the time and energy we have to shape our experiences. By setting boundaries, prioritizing what matters, and saying no to what doesn't, you reclaim your power to live intentionally. In relationships, this means balancing giving with protecting your own resources. When you respect your time and energy, others will too, and your relationships will flourish based on mutual understanding and respect. With these 9 lessons in mind, you now have a Stoic framework to build stronger relationships, nurture your self-worth, and live a life aligned with your values. Start applying them today and watch as your life transforms for the better. Stoic philosophy is not just a tool to improve relationships, it's a guide to building a life of confidence, self-mastery, and meaning. By applying these principles, you can protect your self-worth, no longer feel the need to change to please others, build healthy relationships based on mutual respect and support, find inner peace, focus on what you can control and let go of what you can't. Start today with simple steps. Choose one principle from the video and apply it in your daily life. Take time to ask yourself, does this align with my values? Share your story or challenges in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Your story could inspire others and help create a supportive community. Thank you for watching this video. If you found the content helpful, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss any future videos. You have the power to transform not only your relationships, but your life as a whole. Start this journey today. See you in the next video.